Hi everyone, this is Rob Watson, the module leader for TECH2503, and this is the overview video summary of the 17th lecture for the module. And what we're going to cover in this lecture is we did this last year and we're reinforcing it and going back over it in more detail this year. What I've done though is I'd planned to do this after Easter in the run-up to Coursework D. The assignment, which is to produce a report, a critical evaluation report, which is worth 50% of the activity on the module. And the idea, but I realised I'll bring it forward because it gives us more time to discuss and to make sense of what we're up to. So you got more of a lead in into writing the report. But this is taking what we have learnt from previous years and applying and using it in a more advanced way with a more in-depth use of language and analysis and a greater kind of sense of critical engagement is the phrase that comes to mind. So what we are planning to do, so there's three lectures that we'll run through. The first one is kind of reflexive and critical thinking. So why do we need critical thinking? The second one is academic reports and what their purpose is and what their role is. And the third one is evidence gathering, so academic evidence gathering, which I think is something that I want to tie in with the fake news agenda, because I think it's really important that we are able to have a process in place that tests and verifies and questions some of the kind of activity, the issues that are relevant to contemporary communication and politics and things like that. But what we'll cover in this lecture is the critical thinking processes. So I suppose the kind of what we're looking for is a kind of pattern of thinking which we can use, and we're not saying that this is the only pattern of thinking that you can use, but it's a useful way and it's a practical tool for us to be able to not just problem solve, but to be able to find out what the next set of problems are going to be or might be. So it's problem posing that we're focusing on. So the approach that I'm going to take on this is really to kind of unpick some of the questions about our assumptions about knowledge, our assumptions about how we use and interpret knowledge and information, what the difference is between knowledge and information. You know, it's kind of, you come to university and you're bombarded with information, but how much of that is wisdom? And wisdom is not something that we prioritise very, very effectively in our modern education system. Life wisdom, those kind of things, and yet they are perhaps some of the most valuable lessons and the most valuable learning experiences that are wisdom in understanding and being able to prioritise different types of activities is crucial and important. So what we'll do is we'll look at the kind of models of critical thinking. So a fairly standard way of thinking about critical thinking is to look at the kind of core critical thinking skills, so analysis, explanation, evaluation, inference, interpretation, kind of a self-direction in that process. And these are the things which kind of dominate the academic model of critical thinking, which is about kind of independent thought and being able to look at a situation. And remember, what we're doing is we're separating out cause from effect. So what we're saying is that, you know, what might be an observable effect in society or an observable phenomena in society, we have to separate that from what our assumptions are about the cause for those phenomena. So the challenge in the way of thinking about this is to say, X plus Y equals Z is a linear way of thinking, and we might say, well, we need to get into what do we mean by plus, and if we've got Y, can we make the assumption that we're adding X to it? And actually, what we might do upon examination and upon empirical inquiry is find out that it's not X at all, it's something else that's leading us to be in a situation where we have Z. So it's things, there are many things that we make logical assumptions about, which we just kind of build into our thinking, and we can kind of say, yes, that's because of this. And the critical examination process is to unpick that and to question that and to say, yes, well, it could be also a range of other factors. So how do we structure that, and how do we if you like, do that in a way which is open, transparent, something which we can verify, and something which we can discuss and share with other people in a way which is a kind of an open process of engagement, and kind of thinking out loud, if you like, is a good way to consider this. So what are the different strengths and weaknesses of an evaluation process? What are we looking for? So critical thinking is a kind of, a model for thinking about how we might adapt and change and develop new tools to approach new problems, rather than just relying on the received and assumed ideas of the past. So, your job as community media advocate is to develop solutions which are based around the characteristics of participation and media literacy and social relationships and engagements and sustainability, and to think through how community media might offer potential solutions for some of the other problems that we've identified. There's massive global significant problems that we've identified in this module, and what is it that we can do to put in place a kind of framework which identifies potential solutions to those problems, and how can we work with other people from other disciplines and other topic interests in order to ensure that community media has a presence in being part of the solution to some of these problems. So it's about kind of, if you like, building capability, thinking capability, because I'm sure you don't come onto a university course. In fact, I hope you don't come onto a university course in order to learn just how to be told to press the buttons. You need to do this, 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 this. Here's the sequence of buttons that you must press. Because the academic model is really about, what are the problems of the future? And if you've only learned to learn by imitation and by being told, and you've not explored and you've not discovered for yourself and made those mistakes and gone down the blind alleys and got to the point where you know independently how to learn, then you can apply your learning in any circumstances, and you can adapt. So I've posted onto DMU Talk a link about different models of intelligence, and we're used and familiar with the idea of IQ, kind of intelligence quotient. But then there's been in recent years there's been an interest in EQ, which is emotional intelligence. The third one which is being introduced, and there are many of these things, but a useful one is to think about adaptability. What is your adaptability quotient? How capable are you? Because you can be very intelligent, but you stick to what you know. You're rigid and dogmatic in what you know. Whereas if you are open to adaptability, which is at the heart of community media and the heart of kind of community thinking in that sense, then you can apply what you know in different circumstances, and you know what to look for when things change, because things do change. So we're going to go through this process of kind of thinking through the conceptual frameworks of what it means to be a critical thinker. So the lecture notes are posted up on the DMU Commons wiki. Just go to wiki.our.dmu.ac.uk, look for the TECH2503 section, and if you want to carry on the conversation, you can access DMU Talk, which is at talk.our.dmu.ac.uk. If you want to share any examples or links or make any comments about some of the things that have already been posted there, that's great. You can also download the apps for those things, so you can do this from your phone, which is you can get the Discourse platform on the Android and the Apple stores. But otherwise, I'll see you at the lecture.